Life is a Marathon, session 98. Good morning, everybody. At least it's morning where I am. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to spend with me. I truly appreciate it. Last week was a crazy week. I only got one episode out. But this is episode 98. And I am getting very excited about what I'm going to do for episode 100 of the Life is a Marathon show. So I've got some plans. I'm thinking about doing a couple different things. And it's hard for me to imagine that I've produced almost 100 of these shows. Had you asked me, gosh, well, certainly this time last year, I didn't even know I would be doing a podcast. So I'm super excited about it. But wow, 100 episodes. It's a major, major landmark. There are literally thousands. I think there are over 250,000 podcasts that are available for listening on iTunes and Stitcher. And the overwhelming majority of those only make it for like the first 10, 15, maybe 20 episodes. So to have come through 100 episodes means that you all are loving what I'm doing and that you are supporting it and that you are encouraging me to continue doing it, that you're finding value in it. Because the bottom line is, if what I'm doing is not producing value for you, then I don't want to be doing it. And so to know that you have found value in almost 100 episodes is just extremely touching to me. Along those lines, before I jump into the core of this message, I want to ask you if you would do me a favor. I've put together a very simple survey because I don't get an opportunity through this medium to learn a lot about you unless you intentionally interact with me. So I get emails, I get tweets, I get Facebook posts from you all, and I love that. But it doesn't tell me an awful lot about you or what it is that you really want from me. So I've put together a very simple survey. It will take 30 seconds or maybe a minute. It's less than 20 questions. I ask a couple simple questions, and at the bottom of it, while I'm asking you to help me produce content that is meaningful to you. That's ultimately what I want to do, is to produce content that allows me to coach you, to teach you, to motivate you to make the changes in your life that you want to make in your life. So what I'm asking you to do is tell me some of the things that you want to do in your life so that I can help you best do that. And so if you will do me a favor, if you will go to brucevanhorn.com/survey1, that's survey, SURVEY, and the number 1. It takes you to a simple, short survey. And one of the things that I would love to do, it gives you the option at the bottom of it to tell me a little bit about yourself. If you don't feel comfortable giving me your email address or your phone number, even your name, then that's fine. I don't mind that. But if you will at least let me know your gender, are you a male or a female? And let me know what age bracket you're in, because I would love to know just the basic demographics of my audience. I have a feel for who my audience is. I have a feeling that my audience is predominantly female. That doesn't mean there aren't a lot of men listening to me, but just at least from the feedback that I get more comments and more questions and more interaction from my female listeners. So it's just a guess that the majority of you are females, but I would like to know the actual data. So if you would take 30 seconds to go to brucevanhorn.com/survey1, that would help me tremendously to help you. So let me jump right into this. As if you've listened to the show at all, last week, a week ago tomorrow, actually on April 20th of 2015, I ran the Boston Marathon, and that was so exciting. It was a major, major milestone in my life. It's what I call a bucket list event. I have wanted to run the Boston Marathon for so long, and I got the opportunity. And, again, for those of you who don't know my story, 1 year ago today, I was at home, predominantly either in bed or in my recliner. I was unable to walk without assistance, either from my boys or by using an actual walker. I had had major abdominal surgery to remove cancer from my body. There were complications during the surgery. I lost 70% of my blood during the operation, and so the recovery was very, very difficult. But it was during that recovery period that I set a goal for myself. I decided that I was not going to let this beat me. I was not going to become the victim and let cancer become the thing that I talk about. What I want to talk about is living and life and being victorious and being a survivor. And it's funny because this coming weekend I'm actually going to be speaking at the American Cancer Survivor. Can't say it. The American Cancer Society's Relay for Life Survivors Banquet. And when they reached out for me to be their guest speaker, I thought that maybe they reached out to me because someone listens to my podcast and somebody, reads my blog or whatever. But when they finally said at the end, well, we think that you'd be great because you are a cancer survivor, it caught me a little bit off guard because I don't think of myself in terms of cancer survivor. I think of myself in terms of survivor. And, so I don't let cancer define me. And so one of the things that I want for you in your life is to not let the things that have happened to you become the things that define you. Let how you have responded to it, let how you have overcome the major challenges in your life be what defines you. And more importantly, which is ultimately the message of today's topic, let your core values define you. So I'm going to take a minute to talk about core values, and it's an important topic in my life because on Friday, I don't even know the dates, so it all runs together. Anyway, at the end of last week, I went to my son's high school early that Friday morning to an awards ceremony. And my son was one of the recipients of his school's core value awards. Okay. Now, I've been to lots of award ceremonies in my life, and as a dad, as a parent, as a coach, I do lots of award ceremonies. And there are lots of awards that my boys can win. They can win academic awards, they can win athletic awards. But this award is the most important to me, to know that my 18-year-old son, and this is an award that is, he was nominated by his teachers and the staff at the school. All of the teachers and staff get to nominate one student. And obviously there may be duplicates, but they weed out the duplicates and ask maybe a teacher to nominate a different student. But anyway, there were out of I think there are 1,800 kids in this school. There were less than 100 kids who were nominated for the Core Value Awards, and this makes me as a father more proud than anything that my boys could possibly achieve or win or be recognized for. To be recognized as standing out from the crowd, not giving in to peer pressure, but having integrity and living in sync with an established set of core values. it makes me more proud than anything I could possibly be as a dad. So first of all, I love this, and the huge thing for me is that this is not his first core value award. He's a junior in high school, and this is actually his fifth core value award, which, yeah, I'm so proud of the young man that my oldest son has become, and my youngest son is just equally as amazing, and so I love that about them. But let me talk for a few minutes about core values and why. First of all, what are they, and why are they so important? I've been in the business world most of my adult life, as most adults are. But there is a particular writer. His name is Jim Collins. He's written multiple books, but at least two of his books are required reading in just about every business program, whether it's a business major, a business school, a PhD or master's program in business. It doesn't matter. You will wind up reading two books by Jim Collins. You'll read Good to Great and Built to Last. Phenomenal books that analyze businesses that have they're outliers, businesses that have risen above their competition and they have lasted throughout time, businesses that are well over 100 years old, and have just survived. And he analyzed, what is it about these companies that makes them different from any other company? And what it came down to, it was not about the products that they made, although they made great products. It was not about the service that they provided, although they provided great service. It was not about the customer service that they created. It wasn't about their marketing. It wasn't about anything like that. It was about their leadership. That's what it was all about. It was about the people who founded the companies and the people who went on to run the companies after maybe the founders moved on. But it was all about the core values of the leaders of these companies that made the companies great. The companies were great because the people who led the companies were great. That's what it was all about. And Jim Collins wrote this phrase. He said, "It is better to know who you are than to know where you are going." If you're going to start a company, it is so much better to define first, what are the core values? What are the principles upon which this company is going to be based? And then build products around those core values, rather than deciding on what products are we going to create and being blown about by the desires of the customers. Now, ultimately, the desires of your customers is important, but the truly great companies were built on core values first, and then products and customer service and marketing. All of that flowed naturally from the core values of the leaders of these companies. So that's what it's all about. So I am I'm a marathon runner. No doubt about that. The show is called Life is a Marathon, but you very rarely ever hear me talk about marathon running. It's funny to learn sometimes that so many people come to my show because they did a Google search or on within YouTube, they were searching for marathon training material. And so they find my show called Life is a Marathon, and they don't hear me talk about marathon running, yet they continue to stay with the show. And I get messages from them saying, I came looking for marathon training tips, but what I found was tips about life and how to go the marathon of life. So my life as a marathon is a metaphor. But in any athletic training, there are lots of things that you can do. I can strengthen my arms, I can strengthen my legs, I can strengthen certain areas of my body. But all athletic trainers will teach their athletes that there is one part of your body that is the most important part to train, and that area is called your core. It's your abdomen area. So basically from your rib cage down through your hips, that's your core. And strengthening your core is the most important part of building athletic ability, because it's your core that supports the rest of your body. It's your core that gives you balance. It gives you posture. So when you're running a marathon, or doing most athletic events, posture is very important. And if you don't actually have a strong core, then it's hard to stand up straight, right? And so it affects your ability to change directions quickly. And so most of your real athletic ability comes from strengthening your core. Life is no different. Strengthen your core, because it's your core values, the things that are non-negotiable. That's what it is. What are the things that you stand for? What are the things that you believe in? And that no matter what, you will not deviate from those. So if you don't know your core values, I highly, highly encourage you to do some soul searching, do some exploring. And you already know what these things are, and I'll get to them in just a little bit. But when you do the things that are in sync with your core values, you just feel happy. You feel energetic. You feel light. Not only light in weight, but this sort of energy of light radiates out from you when you are living in accordance with your core values. So it's what I want for my boys, first of all. So it's a huge honor that my son was recognized and has received this Core Values Award, because I want them to be strong and to believe in themselves and to know what they believe, because that way they can stand on their own, and peer pressure exists. All right. I understand. Peer pressure for teens these days, I believe, is harder than it has really ever been. There are so many more, we have so much more access to things that can get us in trouble now than when I was a kid. And so peer pressure is tough, but peer pressure is tough for even adults. It really is. But when you know who you are, what you are, and you take a stand on those things and are willing to walk away from social situations, from business advancements, from the get rich quick schemes, because they are not in syncing, they're not in keeping with who you are at your core, then you will ultimately be happier. You will. You absolutely will. And so I teach my boys this. You know, I I have my own belief systems, my own core values. There are things that I want for my boys. There are things that I want for you as a human being. But what I want most for my boys and what I want most for you is for you to decide what your values are. Your values do not have to be the same as mine. Okay? And in fact, they should not be the same as mine if you've adopted the value simply because I recommended it as a good thing. I want you to be so convinced of yourself and that these are your own values that you own them. You see, I don't ultimately care what my boys, when they become adults, or even now as they are in the process of growing, they're experimenting. It's what we're supposed to do. I am thrilled when my son comes in and lays a certain philosophy, whether it's a political philosophy or a religious philosophy, on me, and says, well, Dad, I think this has value. I just smile. And I say, that's great. I love that you're thinking about it, that you are exploring, that you are trying to define. It's like going to the store and trying on suits of clothes or trying on dresses or trying on new shoes. You want to find what fits you, what makes you feel best, what allows you to radiate out the image that you want to radiate out into the world. So I want my boys to ultimately come to their own philosophy. I want them to come to their own political beliefs, their own religious beliefs. And I don't want them to do it just because that's the way Dad told them it's supposed to be. Because it's when they truly, truly own their own belief systems that they become uniquely who they were created to be. And that's ultimately what I want as a dad. I want each of my boys, I want each of you to become who you were uniquely created to be. And I believe that each person on the planet was created uniquely for a unique purpose. And many of us share the same purpose. Many of us share the same core values, but not one person on the planet can express, can manifest their true purpose in exactly the way that I manifest mine. And we're not supposed to. You are supposed to be you. I am supposed to be me. And so when you are you and I am me, and we are being exactly who we were created to be, then that's what makes the world a beautiful, beautiful place. And so that's what I want, So one of the core values that my son was noted for, was recognized for by his teachers and staff, was the core value of honesty. Okay, honesty, and let me be completely transparent and candid with you. I stand before you as a man who has told many, many lies in my life. I have lived many, many lies. And ultimately, the lies that I have lived, the lives that I have told, came from a place of insecurity, a place of not knowing exactly who I was and who I wanted to be and the things that I wanted to stand for. They came from wanting to be happy from an external perspective. They came from wanting to be popular. They came from wanting to not be embarrassed. They came from just the outside world rather than the inside world. And so I came to a place in my life where I got sick and tired of living a lie. You see, I forget who it is who said it, but I love this belief. You see, we all tell lies. We are human. Not one person on this planet is perfect, first of all, okay? We live in this flesh, and this flesh has cravings, it has desires that sometimes causes us to do things that are not in sync with our core values. But the truth is that we can tell lots of lies. And the lies um, that people tell us, first of all, people do tell us lies. The lies that people tell us and the lies that we tell other people hold no comparison in the damage that it does to other people and to ourselves than the lies that we tell ourselves. That's the thing. The lies that we tell ourselves do more damage to us and to those around us than the lies we tell to other people or the lies that are told to us. Because when we are lying to ourselves, we are not living in sync with our core values. And again, this is what I want for you. It's what I want for me. When you and so let me do this, and I'm not going to be long here, but when you are living according to your values. And so decide for yourself what they are. So are you living with integrity, with honesty, with respect, with accountability, with love? So for me, my number one core value is love. And I'll talk about that in just a second. What my purpose statement, the very first word in my purpose statement is love. But when you are living in synchronization, in integrity with your purpose, with your core values, you feel it in your soul. You do. You feel, you vibrate. Your soul sings in a way, right? Like I mentioned earlier, you feel light, not as in light weighted, but you also generate from you a kind of light. It's contagious. When you meet somebody, and you know when you've met somebody who is just not in a cocky or arrogant or superior way, but when you meet somebody who is confident in who they are, in what they are, in why they exist on this planet, and they operate in integrity with who they are. We may disagree with them on some philosophical basis or whatever, but I love to meet people and interact with people who you can just tell that they are living in accordance with their core value, because the energy just radiates from them. They are not seeking approval. They may want me to like what it is they're doing and what they're saying, but they don't need me to like it, to make them who they already are. So this is what I love about it. It gives you this kind of energy, a happiness that comes from inside you, which is where all true happiness needs to come from, not from outside you. Okay? So you also know when you're living contrary to your core values, because you feel a drain of energy. You know deep down inside when you are behaving, when you are thinking, when you are saying, when you are doing things that are not in sync with who you really are at the core, and who you really were created to be, and the kind of person that you want to be in the world. You know that. Okay? Because it just kind of makes you feel yuck inside. And you feel heavier than you really are, and you feel darker than you really are. Okay? So you might not in the midst of it feel those things, because again, we have flesh, and our flesh has cravings. We have an ego, and our ego has cravings and desires. And so sometimes when we are satisfying the desires of our flesh and satisfying the desires of our ego, those things may at that moment feel good, but very, very shortly afterwards, your soul speaks to you, and you know that what you did or what you said, the way you behaved, was not in sync. And so you feel this regret afterwards. You do. And so regret is a great warning system. The absolute best day you can possibly live is the day when you go to bed at night, looking back over the day, all of your interactions, all the things you said, all the things that you did, and you can go to sleep at night with no regrets, no wishing that you had done something differently. Because when you are living without regrets, you are living in accordance with your core values. So this is what I want. So I've mentioned it. I have a purpose statement that is very, very simple. My purpose statement is Bruce Van Horn was created for this purpose: to love, to serve, and to add value to the lives of others. And so I evaluate everything I do, everything I think, everything I say, my interactions with people, every podcast I put together, every blog post I write, every chapter of a book that I write. Is it in sync? Am I accomplishing my purpose? First of all, am I doing it out of love? Love for myself, love for my creator, love for you. Okay, and so you can look up in the Bible the definition of love. Love is patient, kind, considerate, not boastful or proud, not self-seeking, always encouraging. So, however you define love, um, I first and foremost is what I am doing driven by love. Self-love is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Arrogance, egotism, superiority, those are bad things. That's not self-love. Most of those are driven by actually a self-loathing and a low self-esteem. But when you truly, truly love yourself, then you can truly love other people. So when everything that I'm doing is driven by love, then the rest of my purpose statement naturally comes true. Is what I'm doing providing service? So, am I serving other people? Am I making your life better in some way? Am I giving you a tool? Am I encouraging you? Am I motivating you in some way? It doesn't really matter, what. And so when I say that my purpose is to serve, it does not mean that I'm subservient, that I'm a servant, and that my needs don't matter. My needs do matter. And, if I'm not meeting my own needs, then I can't meet your needs. I can't meet the needs of my boys. So service is also one of those things that it works both ways. So loving myself, loving people, am I serving? And if I'm doing those things, then the third part of my purpose statement also just naturally happens. I will at that point be adding value to the lives of other people. Am I making the world a better place? And so if I'm walking through the park near my neighborhood and I see a piece of trash on the floor, I'm one of these just guys who will just bend over and pick it up. I didn't drop the trash, but I don't judge the person who did. I wish the person who put the trash there, knowing that it makes the park an ugly place, but I recognize that that's just where that person is, or maybe it was an accident. I assume that too. So rather than judging somebody, I want to think the best of everybody. But if even if nobody sees it, out of love, out of service, and out of trying to add value to the world and to other people, I will pick up the piece of trash and I'll either put it in my pocket or I'll put it in the nearest trash can, or I'll just bring it home with me and put it in my trash can. I always want to leave the world, and I always want to leave you better off than how I found you. Okay, so whether I interact with somebody at the grocery store, I want to leave everybody better than how I found you. And it may just be a simple smile. Have a great day. I love you. Okay, those simple, simple things. Okay, so and again, I want to be candid with you. My friends and family, my boys, listen to this. Okay, my friends, my family know me. They know my shortcomings. They know my moral failures, the mistakes that I've made, the lies that I have told. I have lied, I have cheated, I have stolen. And first and foremost, those things that I have done have hurt me. I am deeply sorry for the pain that I have caused other people in my life by the things that I have done that were not in keeping with my core values. But mostly it hurts me. And that's what I want to get back around to, is that when you are being the best kind of person to yourself and living with your core values, to make you a better person, you can't help but make other people better because it radiates out from you. So let me say this. If you have made mistakes, and you have, okay, Although I have a different kind of opinion about that, but today's not the topic to delve into whether anything really is a mistake or whether we have ever actually made a bad decision. So I'll cover that at another time. But um, maybe you are doing something now that is contrary to your core value. Maybe you are engaged in a relationship you should not be engaged in a business practice that is not in keeping with your core value, that is not adding value to the world, but it's all self seeking and self centered, and it's all about you. If you are doing anything that is harmful to other people, let me share this with you. Okay, I love the song. It's called "Collide" by Howie Day, and in it the lyric says, "Even the best fall down." So we see our world leaders, our religious leaders, they make huge moral failings from time to time. Okay, we all do. So you who are without sin, cast the first stone. I'm not going to cast the first stone because I have made lots of moral failures in my life. I have lived so far outside of what my core values really are. But even the best fall down. But I love also the teaching from the great coach Vince Lombardi, who said, "Man's greatest glory lies not in never falling, but in rising every time he falls." That's the secret. So if you are living outside of your core values, if you have fallen down, if you have shamed yourself, if you have caused pain to other people, take a deep breath. Get back up. Start living in accordance with your core values. You can do this, okay? Every single day is a day to start over. Every day is a day that you can attempt to make yourself a better person than you were yesterday. Every day is a new opportunity to make yourself proud of who you are and to make other people proud they know you. And so, one of the coolest things to do is to own your mistakes, to own your shortcomings, not blame other people. Be 100% responsible for your decisions, your actions, your behaviors. Own them, change them, and get back in sync. Repair the damage that you can repair. Okay? Sometimes damage just can't be repaired. You can't change how other people feel. All right? You just can't. And so if you've done something wrong and other people have anger, hatred against you, that's their story. Okay? Make right what you can make right and let the rest go. Let those people work through it in the way that they need to work through it. Okay? You can't change how other people feel. All right? All you can do is change you. Every day is an opportunity for you to be awesome. You already are awesome. You don't have to go to the store and acquire awesomeness. It's in you. Your core values are actually already in you. You were born with them. And again, let me say your core values are not necessarily my core values. That's okay. Every human being on the planet is different. I love and honor and respect your core values. Okay? I do. And so first of all, learning to value other people's core values and respect them, even if they're different than yours. Your belief systems may be different than mine. And that's okay. But the secret is learning to drown out the noise, letting go of peer pressure. Again, I want my boys to become the men who they are supposed to become, not the men that dad tells them they should become. I work with way too many clients. The overwhelming majority of my life coaching clients are struggling because they have spent the majority of their lives trying to be what other people expected them to be. And my job is to help them tap in to who they truly are and start living in sync with that. Okay, to be the fullest expressions of who we were created to be. Okay, so know your values, know what your non negotiables are, be willing to walk away in social situations, and that can be awkward. Especially know your deal breakers, first of all, especially you young people or single people. Okay, be willing, be willing to be alone, be willing to be lonely for a little while rather than settling, rather than compromising your core values because you don't want to be alone. Learn to find peace and contentment within yourself. And when you don't need the external world, when you don't need another human being to validate you, then something happens in you that automatically makes you much more attractive. And so the likelihood of you finding the right person that matches up with your core values instantly becomes greater when you know what your core values are and you're not willing to sacrifice them just to fit in or just because you don't want to be lonely. Okay, so that's my message for you today. Know your core values, love yourself. Okay, I love you. Life is a marathon, so let's train for it.